Well, good morning, all. This is Patricia, and I am traveling for history. And on today's show, I thought I would share with you a story about my Verizon experience. So Verizon is a cell phone company, and this is an authorized dealer store. Corporate store is different. Corporate store can sell all the services, the internet as well as cell phone, and cell phones and whatever equipment you need for the internet too. So or the Wi-Fi, excuse me. The authorized dealer stores can only offer cell phones and cell phone service, and then whatever gear and the like for a cell phone you may purchase. So this was at an authorized dealer store. And if there's time at the end of this story, I have a really short story about AT&T as well. Okay, so when I bought my Motorola phone, which is this one right here, I bought this at Best Buy. And the thing with going to Best Buy is there's a few things about that. First of all, the salespeople do not earn a commission, which is huge, which you'll understand in just a few minutes when I get to the Verizon store. The downside of buying from Best Buy, though, is that if Verizon has a specific sale, you may not get that at Best Buy. That might be an in-store special only. So that could be a bummer. But I bought this phone at at Best Buy. This is my old phone. This is a Samsung A52 5G, which no longer has, it has security updates, but no more of the new interface updates. So I do love a Samsung phone. I've had one for a long time, and after buying this Motorola, I was really disappointed with the camera, both for taking photographs and for filming video. So I still use my old phone for that, and I just as soon use a newer Samsung version of a mid-range version. Let's be clear, mid-ranges are affordable and the others are not. Not to mention that, although I will never again have an headphone jack, I can still have expandable storage. So I go to the authorized dealer near me, and I went there back in October, and the manager at that time was amazing. He asked me, you're sitting down, right? He asked me what I wanted in a phone. Wow, that's mind-blowing. That shouldn't be mind-blowing, but anyway. So we talked a lot about what I was looking for. He did tell me that a headphone jack was a unicorn these days, and I would agree. For companies like Samsung, they've really done away with it as of the A56 5G, for instance. That's a massive bummer, but there we are. But the A54 5G, for instance, still has the expandable storage. So, but he told me because I bought the Motorola phone that I would have to wait until, I want to say it was some point in December. So I waited, and I went in to the authorized dealer store near me. It was a different manager. So picture this, I walk in, it's about 11 in the morning. There are two men sitting in there. One was younger than the other, and one's on a tablet, the other's on a cell phone, and they're looking right down. The way all of us look at our cell phones, looking right on down, right? Because we're doing whatever we're doing on them. They didn't really even bother to look up for a while. It's not like I had to clear my throat to get their attention. They did finally look up. And I did address the manager directly rather than the younger man, because my experience with the manager had been so good that I wanted him to get the commission. in case you didn't know, this is at least true for Verizon. I can't speak for the other stores, the other, T-Mobile or AT&T, but I can speak to about the Verizon ones. And those salesmen, including managers, get a commission on the phones they sell. So the manager there, I was thinking, it didn't really look the same, but it had been a couple of months. But he had started in November. So anyway, we're there, and he was so enthusiastic. He asked me, "Do you want an iPhone?" No. Well, that was the harbinger of, well, that was just awful. That was the start of awful service. As soon as I said no, the two of them got on tablets, and they're tapping away and all that. They're ignoring me completely. They're talking to each other, but not to me. Last I checked, I was the customer. So finally, the manager says, "Got a great deal for you." He walked on over to the Google Pixel 10 Pro, that's a lot of words, and said, "This would be a great phone for you, and it's free." Clearly, what these folks don't seem to understand, whether it's at Metro by T-Mobile or Verizon, is that I've already conducted research on these phones because, sure, I'm interested in learning more about newer technology. But I had already read, I like to read the Amazon 3-star reviews. I figure if you're 4 and 5 star reviews, that maybe you have maybe you got a freebie that you're testing out. And if it's 1 and 2 star reviews, I don't look at those either because someone's got an axe to grind, seemingly anyway. So I love reading 1-star reviews, but I digress. So I read 3-star reviews. I figure people are just telling you like it is. And the Google Pixel 10 Pro reviews were really stunning. All the stuff I hate about phones, all the AI, for instance, and they all have some version of AI, but that one apparently is just overloaded with it, and you really can't shut it off. And they also were talking about how the camera is basic. I just didn't want it, free or not. If I don't want it, I still don't want it. When I said, no, I don't want that, you could have heard a pin drop. The whipping of heads around to face me, and they were agog. Their mouths were slack and almost hanging open. What do you mean you don't want it? It's free. That's right, it's free, and I still don't want it. And yet they're still pushing the darn thing at me, as if pushing more is going to work. I don't know about you, but when someone really starts to push something on me, I recoil from that. And I'd love to know in the comments below if you feel the same way. I equate these guys to used car salesmen, which probably is not very nice, but that was their attitude. And as long as that was their attitude, I would match that energy. Curious also if you do that too, if that's your reaction, that not only do you not want what they're pushing on you, but that you start pushing back in a similar sort of way. Well, it was kind of fun to watch them wonder about that. So the younger of the two, I'd say he was like a college-age kid. So he was asking me how much video and photo editing I do in my phone, because I already said I wanted a good camera and video quality too, that my Motorola doesn't give me. It's just too light. So when he asked me that, I was telling him I do it almost everything on my phone: the editing of the videos, the editing of the photos, the thumbnails. I do all of that stuff on my phone, except for the little bit from YouTube I can't do on my phone. I must be on my PC for that. So here I am. And then, so this young guy is looking up, and he's thankfully talking aloud, so I can hear what's what's going on in his head. And he said, well, I think a Samsung phone would work better for you. Ta-da! Well, and so I turned to the manager and said to him, I know exactly which model I want. I want the Samsung A54 5G. And do you know what the manager said to me in front of this protege? He said to me, and I quote, "That's a cheap and crappy phone." On what planet did he think that would be a great sales technique? Because that's the phone I wanted. I had conducted a whole bunch of research on this. I could tell you more than you would ever want to know about these mid-range phones, but I'm going to try to reel myself in on that. So he grabs the tablet again, and he's doing all this clickety-clickety-click stuff, and ignoring me again, but they're both ignoring me again. Oh, I was so mad at this point. You'd think they could read the writing on the wall. They think they could look at my body language, but they weren't looking at me. That's part of the problem. They weren't looking at me. So then he says, it's got to be the S25. I had read the reviews on the S25. Now, there's the lower level version all the way up to I think it's called the Ultra. So everything but the Ultra got panned. I mean, just killed all over the place, just terrible. They're not, well, they would be better than anything I've ever had, but overall, the amount of space was not enough. 256 gigs, that's child's play, people. It's child's play. I have a 256 gig in this phone, a 256 gig memory card, expandable storage, and it already has, I don't know, 50 gigs built in. So talk about child, maybe it's 64 built in. It's just, well, I mean, well. Now the S25 Ultra that Verizon has is up to 512 gigs. You may, I don't know, did you know that the Ultra, that S25 Ultra, 26s hadn't come out yet. The S25 Ultra actually from Samsung has up to 1 terabyte of space that Verizon doesn't sell. It will not work on the Verizon network. So, he's trying to push the S25 on me, which it doesn't have. It has neither the headphone jack nor the expandable storage. But I would have been interested in the S25 Ultra because of the 512 gigs. But I would have to have a different plan than I currently have, which is the ultimate plan and costs big bucks, as you can imagine. Ultimate plan, ultimate price tag, which I didn't want to do. So that one was out, and I didn't want any of the others. And we were at a total impasse. Now, he also said about the phone I had wanted, the Samsung Galaxy A54 5G, that he didn't have it in stock, which was a lie. I already knew he had plenty of them in stock. And he said he could order it, but it would take weeks for it to come in. Also a lie, because I already know, you likely know too, that if you order a phone through the dealer, that it's overnighted to the store. It's overnighted. So I don't know. I mean, does the gray hair suggest I have no brain cells left? Does the fact that I'm a woman suggest that I don't know jack squat? Apparently with these guys. So I tell you, I was so angry at that point, because still they're pushing these S25s, they're pushing everything but the phone I wanted, because of course it was a cheap and crappy phone. Oh, don't get me started. But so in the end, I told them, well, I hope you're happy with yourselves, because you're not getting any sale at all. And they walked out. As I was walking out, they picked up their tablet and cell phone again. So I was sort of under the impression at that point that they hadn't wanted to make a sale. But that's how stores continue to survive and thrive. Given the massive closings of different stores in all sorts of industries, it's just head-smacking stupid. Now, I would go back to Best Buy to get the Samsung phone I would prefer, but I know they're no longer in stock, and whatever deal I would have gotten, the trade-in value of my Motorola phone for Samsung's in the store was $400. So I could have had $400 towards the $499 price tag, and as for the other $99, they parsed that out over the course of, I think it's 3 years. And I own this one outright because I bought it at Best Buy, so I just paid the price it was, which was $300. So I just paid that price right then and there. But so the last $99, I likely would just pay for that as well and just call it done. And then I could own the phone outright. I wouldn't have to wait until the end of that 3-year period before I would qualify again for whatever deal is going on. But you know, what did not suck for service was when I called customer service, called them on my phone. And 100% of the time when I've called the folks at Verizon, they've answered my questions. They've been honest because I do conduct research, and they've apologized profusely for the awful experiences I've had in their stores. You can watch on my Traveling for History channel my experience at the corporate store to get my internet service. It was abysmal at best, and I would fire the internet service guy. He was so bad. But the folks on the phone have just been stellar. I would recommend calling them 100% of the time. The thing with that, though, is I don't get to try out the doggone phone. I don't get to see how much I like it or not. So I'm certain I would like the Samsung Galaxy A54 5G because I really like the A52 5G. The A53 is out of date and therefore out of updates. The A55 was never sold in the U.S. It was sold to the Asian market, I think the European market, and it likely will not work in the U.S. And the A56 5G no longer has either the headphone jack or the expandable storage. This is what research gets you. So I'm still in limbo. I'm still using the Motorola to make phone calls and send text messages and surf the web. And when it comes time to film videos or take photographs, I still use the Samsung Galaxy A52 5G. So that's where it stands. And now, since there's still a little time left over, let me share with you my AT&T experience as well. And this is much shorter than the Verizon or even the Metro by T-Mobile story. When I knew, so I bought this phone and had, let me see, what was the order of that? I think I went to the AT&T store first. I went there and to find out what they charge for their service. Expensive, more expensive, and whoa mama expensive. But here's the thing. I walk into the store and I was looking to see what phones they had on display. And I want to say they had iPhones and those really expensive other phones, but they didn't have any mid-levels, so I could try something out. And there was one guy in the store. He was looking down, I think, at his phone. Didn't look up when I walked in, so no acknowledgement whatsoever. let me just mention as a side note, having owned a retail store, that it's really good to make eye contact with someone who's coming into your business. First of all, it's a chance to say, hey, how are you? Welcome to my store. How can I help you today? If you need help, I'm right here. That kind of thing, right? It also lets your customer know that someone realizes you're in the store. So if you're, if the potential customer is wondering where the person is, they've seen you. And if they're thinking about doing something untoward, like stealing something, they know that you're watching them. Harder to do in a store like a cell phone store because they're dummy phones. They're just used for showing you how something works, but you can't actually, if you stole them, it wouldn't matter because they don't work more than that. So when I finally got up to the counter, and he was the only guy in the store who was up at the front anyway, he finally looked up, and I told him I was looking for service, and if he could explain the differences between the services and how much they were going to cost, because those prices are not actually listed. That's how I found out they were expensive, more expensive, and whoa mama expensive. That the least expensive, the way he described it, was it's great for places up to maybe Stowe. And then I wouldn't really have service after that. He said, if I had like the ultimate one, or the ultra service, or whatever they call it, that I would have all of the state available to me. Now, I had never heard it described that way before in my life. And I thought, well, that's really telling. Since as you know, I film all over the place, including out of state. And certainly in Arizona, there are dead spots. I mean, there are dead spots in Vermont, no doubt, but there are just swaths of a lot of dead spots in Arizona. When I'm filming ghost towns and whatnot, wow, there, just no service. So that would not work for me at all. And given the lackluster, he was nice enough and seemed knowledgeable enough, but still, so when I went to Best Buy after that, the salesman there, who does not earn a commission whatsoever, said, well, he wouldn't have explained it that way. He explained it the way I usually hear it, and I thought that the way it was described by the AT&T guy was probably the best description, really, to be honest. But also just not the best experience. If they should have me train them. Because I called Verizon, that same Verizon store where I had the terrible experience, and a guy answered the phone. It was a different guy because this guy had an accent. The other two did not. And, I was asking if they had that phone I wanted in stock still. And no, they didn't have it in stock, but they could order it. And it would be there the next day, because it will be there the next day. Don't let them lie to you, because it's a bunch of crap. But he said, let's make an appointment and have you come in and we'll talk about this. And I've said this more than once to these guys, that there is no way on earth I'm going to make an appointment to go to a retail store, because that adds, I didn't say the rest of this to them, but it can add pressure to someone to buy something because you made an appointment, and they're banking on that. I, on the other hand, am immune to that because I care this much about whatever commission they're going to earn. I don't think they should earn a commission because they're not working in the best interest of the customer. They're only working in the best interest of their wallets. And I can respect that they want to make the most money, but commission, we're going to be polar opposites on that. Especially since I just want a mid-range phone. I just want a mid-range Samsung phone. I've been looking at eBay to see what's out there because they're a lot less expensive and they're still new. So if you're looking for a phone, if you're looking for anything to buy, you must conduct research first, because they're not expecting you to know diddly squat. And if you're a woman, they expect you to know even less. They just figure that they're going to shove a phone at you, and you're going to say, oh, this is so nice. Oh, yeah. I am beyond that. Yes, I would love all these features. That Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra had what was that? A 200 megapixel camera, and I was salivating over that. It has optical zoom, I mean, a really amazing optical zoom, 10x, something like that. It was outstanding. Of course, I would like a phone like that, but do you know how much that thing was? More than I would ever want to spend, more than my first 2 cars combined cost. Actually, I think more than my first 3 cars combined cost. $250, $350, and $1,000. We're not talking about the repairs those cars had, but those are the prices. So, just wow. Just wow. So, would I recommend going to a Verizon store? No, just go to Best Buy. You won't get the services, but you'll get a salesman or a salesperson who wants to sell you something that works for you, who will take into account what you want to spend or not want to spend, and will help you find the phone that you want. It's not rocket science. You know, thing is, if you do right by someone, they want to come back and do business with you again. And I just don't grasp, I can't understand why these corporations can't grasp that. That it's not all about their wallet. It's about good customer service and making someone want to come and shop with you again. That's what business is about. Repeat customers. And happy customers share that information with their friends, their family, whomever, even on a TV show or on a video, same deal. But you know what they don't get with having a terrible experience? People like me saying, you know, maybe you shouldn't go to the store, and instead make a phone call. Because again, my experience with the people I've called, wow, stellar, and they've apologized over and over again for the terrible service I've had at now 2 of their stores, you know, the authorized and the corporate store. Terrible experiences. So bad was my corporate store experience that I got discount after discount after discount after discount, which I wasn't even asking for. I just wanted them to know the experience I had, which was probably the worst I've ever had in a retail store. And that's saying a lot. I don't consider myself a Karen. I just conduct research and expect people to respect the research I've conducted. Don't try to sell me the Yugo version of a phone. I don't want it. So, yeah, that was my experience in Verizon and even AT&T, but really the folks on the phone for Verizon, 2 huge thumbs up. But thanks so much for hanging out with me today. This is Patricia. I'm traveling for history, and until I see you again, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.